Okay, here we go. So good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Helene Castletine. I'm the Economic Development Director here at the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce. And this is the first of a two-part series. This morning, we're going to hear from a representative from Manpower, and I'll let Bill Penny introduce her to you. Just a couple of housekeeping tips. If you have questions as we go along, what we're going to do, if you could type those into the Q&A portion down there at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll address all those when our presenter is finished. And then I'll do another reminder about next week's session as well. But at this point, what I'm going to do is turn this over to Bill Penny. Bill is the president and CEO of Marine Bank and Trust here in Vero Beach. He also is the chairman of our Economic Development Leadership Alliance, which is our Economic Development Investment Program here at the Chamber of Commerce. So Bill is going to talk just a minute or two about that and then introduce our guest speaker, and we'll be on our way. So Bill, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Helene. Good morning, everybody. As my position as bank president, we have a lot of business customers, and everybody I talk to right now is struggling to find employees. And we have worked very hard to try to become an employer of choice over the years. So I'm anxious to hear what our speaker has to say. Before that, let me give you a quick rundown on what the Chamber is doing on behalf of economic development. The Chamber is the designated agency for economic development on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. And the goal, now don't spear me on this, I'll explain in a few minutes, but to create more jobs. It's job creation, creating nice paying jobs that pay above the average of the local average of about $43,000. And we do this through business attraction, new employers, retention and expansion of existing firms, and then small business development and entrepreneurship development through various methods. Funding of the portion of the economic development activities are through the Indian River County Commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners, and the balance is from the private sector through our Economic Development Leadership Alliance. And this is where Marine Bank and everybody else gets an opportunity to participate in the job creating economic expansion of our community. So we hope you would consider joining that in the future. Now, you're going to be saying, Penny, why are we trying to create more jobs when we can't even fill the jobs that we have? And I will assure you, this is a long game. These deals take a long, long time. So we are not announcing anything new right now, but the work we're doing now might come to fruition in a year, 2 or 3 to bring new employers here. So we're not competing in the already tight job market with this. A couple notable success stories I want to share is Diamond Drinks is a Pennsylvania-based fruit juice manufacturer that is opening a second location in Vero Beach for 50 jobs. And then recently Impact Corporation, which is expanding out of California to Sebastian, that makes specialty packaging for medical industry. And they anticipate about 40 jobs out of that. So that's what's going on with our economic development. And now let me introduce Amy Malecki, our speaker. Amy is Director of North America Recruiting Solutions for Manpower, Inc. And as the Director of the Recruiting Solutions, she leads the Recruiting Solutions team in building a community practice and collaboration across Manpower, developing recruiting capabilities and operationalizing innovative methodologies and tools to drive growth, leveraging her deep experience and an outside perspective to build strategic plans and oversee implementation and change management initiatives. So with that, I'll introduce Amy, and you can tell us what all that means, everything I just said. So welcome, Amy.
Hello, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Bill, and thank you for having me. We're going to have a fun morning. We have a jam-packed presentation. What I will tell you, what all of that means, what do? I help people get ahead. I'm a connector. In my heart of hearts, I'm just passionate about networking and recruiting. So I'm a recruiter first and foremost. I have been with Manpower now for 10 years. I've spent nearly 20 years of my career in workforce development, supporting companies of all sizes and scopes to scale recruiting and talent management strategies. So again, my true passion is, I'm very lucky, it's what I do every day. So as Bill mentioned, I am North America Recruiting Solutions Director for Manpower. I slid into this role 24 days ago. So exciting times for me to be able to support North America, and so far, so good. So today we're going to spend time sharing best practices on creating suggestions and creative suggestions on how we position ourselves as an employer of choice while navigating the existing and accelerating trends that are not just global, but really at the state and regional level as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it, and we'll talk about that talent attraction. Thank you so much, Helene. So these 4 trends that you see here on your screen are driving digital transformation at an unprecedented scale as a result of, again, global health, economic and social crisis, but at the state and regional level. So coupled with the uncertainty and the emergence of these new trends, that organizations really need to transform not only their workforces, but how they work in order to ensure they have the skills and the competencies needed, as Bill mentioned, when all of these jobs come available in the long game. But how do you do it, right? That's the big question. Organizations that are doing it well are already preparing for the trends that are going to impact the market shift. Creating greater workforce flexibility, strengthening talent sustainability and worker well-being, powering the digital transformation. So all of these 4 quadrants, we're going to get into 3 of the 4 that I think are very, very important. And then we're going to get into the local, what can we do to get creative? But I think first it's important to understand. So let's start with shifting demographics. When we think about this, in 2019, statistics indicated that millennials, 23 to 38 years of age, made up 72.1 million of our population. It's the largest generation in history. And understanding how millennials look for employment are going to help companies to attract the best talent. It's a fact. Again, largest generation. We've got to play in that sandbox. Birth rates are at their lowest since 1987. So we've had a supply issue for quite some time, and it's going to continue. With our baby boomer generation moving out of the workplace and taking their skills and knowledge with them, talent is scarce and it will continue to be scarce. So as employers, we need to train and retool entry-level workers at far higher price tags. So you're probably all shaking your head because we've been in this place for a while. In 2018, a study shared that women made up 47% of the workforce. So hats off to you, ladies. But as women, we're disproportionately affected by both social and economical crises due to the pandemic. We are overrepresented in job losses across industries, including retail, leisure, hospitality, and we're underrepresented in these growth sectors, including tech, operations, and logistics. So researchers believe that giving paid leave and increased access to childcare will keep women in the workplace. But coming out of this post-pandemic, there's definitely a gap, a gender gap. So we're hoping to kind of bridge that gap with some of these creative solutions in order to become an employer of choice. There are far less married couples. This new family of workers will demand flexibility and concessions in attendance policies, insurance coverages, perks, and flexibility, and a whole lot more, which we'll get into. Finally, you have the remote workforce. The remote workforce is growing 11 times faster than the rest of the workforce. Working from home is working remotely has grown 159% from 2005 to 2019. In fact, Manpower Group, we have done studies that show that 46% of organizations are going to have a work from home model in some way, shape, or form. This is also desirable for the younger generation. We talked about that 72.1 million millennials. So again, how do we do it? How do we make it work for small, medium-sized businesses? Employers should consider part-time opportunities and flexible schedules. And again, please use the chat, as Helene and Bill mentioned, to share some of the things that your company may have already implemented that are allowing you to attract the best of the best as we share the next key accelerating trend. We're going to move on here to technology revolutions. This is one of the fastest growing trends that affect hiring, in my opinion. And we start with the evolution of the digital era. So the human to machine co-evolution. Robots, they're not going to take our jobs, right? Manpower has done this big thing about, are robots going to take our jobs? They're not, but they will take some of the tasks away. So with automation and artificial intelligence, think about your current application process as an example. What does your onboarding and application process look like? Are you still having people walk into a brick and mortar location and fill out a paper application, hand it back to you, and then you take copies of their IDs, right? That is far gone in the past. We have to become more digital in order to attract the talent we need. So connecting, how we connect with those job seekers that are, number one, unemployed and looking for their next opportunity, and the passive job seekers that are currently working that we want to employ. So think about, again, the walk-in. Is your website inviting? What does that look like? Digitization of customer experience requires you to be available 24/7, 365. For a lot of us, we're not available 24/7, 365. But again, technology can be. It can allow us to be. So job seekers are consumers, and they want to shop for employment the same way they buy on Amazon. They want to do this when they have time. So the rise of the digital disruptors is causing many small to medium-sized businesses having to invest in a lot of this technology and tools to elevate their candidate and customer experience. And I'm sure a lot of you have done this already. If you're not in a position to invest in the technologies and tools to get you into this digital era, I would strongly encourage you to connect with an employment partner. You need a workforce partner that you can leverage if you don't have, millions of dollars to invest in these tools. As a workforce partner, and there's many of you on the phone today that are part of the chamber, we are an extension of you. Right? So we're not going to come in and take your people's jobs either. We're an extension of you. We're going to allow you to use the tools that we have, and you can leverage us to find the right talent. Information is power. Candidates have more power than ever before because they have more information. So this makes for a more informed decision from a candidate perspective. Companies have to be smarter in where they look for candidates. This is contributing to the rise in referrals as a major source of job applicants. Strong referral programs tiered over a period of 90 days. We've seen very proven success with that, more so than a sign-on bonus, where you give out, at 90 days of employment. Because again, it's that instant gratification of getting that extra referral in your paycheck after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So we can get really creative in that. So again, if you're doing this, please use that chat so we can share with one another. Social media can be your best tool for recruiting quality talent. It can also be your worst enemy for attracting quality talent. Have you checked Glassdoor lately? What's your reputation look like? Job seekers are going to research and check reviews as if they were buying product from Amazon. They will remember a negative experience or a negative comment before they'll remember 10 of the positive ones, right? So just the way we as employers may pull LinkedIn and Facebook when we are interviewing job applicants, job seekers are doing the same thing. And finally, we talk about the education re-evolution, right? The ongoing need for upskilling and reskilling, we talked about this a minute ago, retooling the entry-level worker. This all starts with the future of education, and it doesn't have to be your traditional, secondary school. This can be online courses where you've connected with a tech school. Maybe you're paying them for 4 hours a week outside of job hours to go learn a new skill because you're forecasting that you're putting in a new machine that's automated and you're going to need it, right? So individuals and organizations will shift towards on-demand, micro-certification, virtual teaching, and cloud coaching at scale. So all of this is coming. Are you diversifying yourself from your competitors with continued education programs? Are you partnered with an employer a workforce provider that can give you that, and again, leverage them. So these are all the things we're asking you to think about. The next trend I want to talk about, I mentioned talking about 3 of 4, is individual choice. Helene, if you want to advance, that would be great. Thank you so much. So this is where employers struggle to meet the expectations of the employee. Employers are responsible, I'm going to say it a third time, employers are responsible for the physical and emotional wellness of their staff and employees. And employees have greater needs for flexibility, autonomy of choice, right? Shift schedules. Employees want to work for a company that prioritizes their health and well-being and them. They want an employer that's going to give them choices. At Manpower, for an example, we call this Work Your Way. We have rolled out a program that is global, Work Your Way. We have also talked about this with our clients in manufacturing and production. Work your way. How can we take the best of that core program and apply that to your industry, knowing that you could be a 24/7 operation, right? Employees want to feel safe and secure now more than ever. I mean, think about what we just went through in almost 2 years, right? A lot of people are now being vaccinated. Some don't want to be vaccinated. How many on this call today have an attendance point system? An attendance point system, for example, for lateness, for early leaves, for absences, right? Employees want to feel that their job, that they have an opportunity to keep their job and not feel as if they need a day off or come in late, that they're going to get a half a point or a point toward termination. Right? So you're all probably sitting here saying, Amy, in theory, this is great, but we have production lines that run, they don't stop. We can't have people calling in sick. Work must go on. Our customers expect us to meet our deliverables. We can't do that if John's 20 minutes late, or if Teresa can't find childcare that day. I would challenge all of you to think and consider this. Review your potential attendance policy. See if there is an area to revamp your system, because good attendance policies do not use a one-size-fits-all approach. No 2 employees have the same life, health, stress, family needs, or mitigating factors. So good attendance policies allow for employees to not stress over work while being sick or needing an occasional day off. Offering flexibility working hours that are in sync with the employee's personal schedule, such as picking their children up from school, maybe giving them a 2-hour break in the middle. Again, with production lines, these are all things we need to think about. This is what the employee, as the consumer, is asking for. So hold discussions during break shifts. Feedback is a valuable gift. But what's more important about that is gaining the feedback and doing something with it. So poll your employees. Talk about it in break shifts, break up those shifts, create compressed work weeks where workers can work longer hours in fewer days, facilitate split shifts. There's all kinds of things that we can do to really adapt to the employee and help to give them what they need in order to increase retention and overall not lose the talent that we know we're going to need in the future. Creating part-time positions. A lot of organizations are doing part-time or shortened 32-hour weeks, and encouraging shift swapping. Give the autonomy back to the employee to cover their shift as needed so they don't incur that point on your attendance policy. All these things are important, and it's all about attracting the right talent. So the next slide goes over what employees want. All of the things I just mentioned are what they want, but now let's break it down in the 3 or 4 top areas. Manpower surveyed 14,000 candidates in the workforce currently working between ages 18 and 65. In the US, the top factors include compensation at 55% is most important, followed by the type of work and benefits offered at 51%. And finally, falling in third place is schedule flexibility at 45% that we just talked about. So we're going to expand these top 4 very quickly on the next slide. And this really is going to give us a breakdown. So when you think about compensation as a top factor, 55% of employees surveyed. Compensation packages are more than just an hourly rate or a salary. There's and a sign-on bonus, right? It's salary plus bonus and commission, paid holidays, vacation, sick days, medical, dental, vision, 401k, retirement plan structures, pensions. It's all of these things. So as an example, is your company employee owned? Do you have an ESOP? Does your company have unlimited or permissive PTO? What does that look like? Do you have vacation available to you on day one versus waiting until the 91st day, right? That's important. Do you offer pet insurance? These are all just some examples. The second factors that came in equally ranked was the type of work and the benefits. Benefits in the traditional sense, we just talked about them, 401k, medical, dental, vision. But it's more than that. It's the company values and perks that people are really looking for, that our job seekers are looking for. In addition to the role and responsibility of the job, a day in the life of what I'll be doing, I want to make sure that the company's values and mission match my own, right? Philanthropy is important. The community involvement, volunteerism. So it goes above and beyond the skills and the experience, hard and soft skills, right? We've done more studies that actually show that soft skills are that employers are more interested in the soft skills that they can hone, because we can teach somebody to do this before our baby boomer generation leaves with all their knowledge, right? So soft skills are super important. Does your company give back to the community? Do they value the company match that? Does the value of the company match that of the job seeker? Will you have opportunity to volunteer? All these things are important. Perks can be large or small. Think about it. We're talking here. We have companies on this call that I'm sure may have 5 employees, and other companies that have 50, some that have 5,000, right? The perks are going to look different for everybody. But when you're thinking about developing your perks, you want to think about it with a what's in it for me attitude. We call that a WIFM at Manpower. What's in it for me? Being the job seeker, the candidate, your future employee. A decision maker and a hiring manager has to put themselves in their shoes. So it could be, again, we talked about this, split shifts, attendance policies, paid trips, referral bonuses, daycare services, maybe reimbursement for perfect attendance for a portion of your daycare that week, right? So we can get super, super creative, and we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into this together, hopefully in the chat. So that is the presentation. I really would like to open it up. Helene, I haven't looked at the chat as I've been talking. But I'd love to open it up and answer some questions, and then certainly want to bring Lori Collings in. She is part of our local franchise. You all probably know her. For those guests on this call today, you will know her. She's amazing. I've now had an opportunity to work with her on quite a few things. So if you want to open it up to questions, Lori and I will take that together on a local and regional scale.
Okay, we do have a question.
Yeah.
And it says, kind of lengthy, but I'll go ahead and read it. It says, one of the things my company, Velocity, CITI, Velocity has recently implemented is VTO, volunteer time off, for non-exempt and exempt workers. Nice. Paid time off to volunteer at one of the employees' favorite organizations. This is in addition to the PTO and sick time offered. We're also doing paid BTO, birthday time off, which can be used as a floating day should the employee want to work on their birthday. Important to differentiate your company perks from other companies. I like it.
Zachary, thank you for sharing that. These are the things we're talking about, that as we need to collaborate, right? We're all in this together. The talent pool is the talent pool. If I'm not interviewing them in Vero Beach, Bill's going to be, right? So we need to stick together in this tight talent market to really upskill, retool, retrain, so that we can all come out of this on the back end as winners. Because I don't foresee the younger generation having any more babies anytime soon. So, I mean, I myself, I have 4 children, and I'm putting them all to work at Manpower, just so everyone knows here.
I think what's really interesting about this is that we have a lot of employers who still feel like 2 weeks vacation the first year is enough, or they have a sick policy. Something that our franchise has implemented is, instead of sick days or vacation days, we just have straight PTO days. And the reason for this implementation is the CEO of our company said, I don't want people to have to feel like they have to make up reasons to be taking a day off. I just want people to be able to say, I'm taking PTO day, and they don't have to explain it. And it does give a little bit of leeway as far as having to, having employees maybe having to explain why they're taking a day off. They can just simply say, I'm taking a PTO day. And I feel like that is maybe a little bit more of what we're seeing in the future versus vacation and sick days.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's a great call out, Lori, because again, people, again, we talked about the autonomy of flexibility. They don't want to share with you where they are, right? If I'm taking PTO, you don't need to know if I'm sick or if I'm going to have lunch with my mother, right?
Exactly.
So we need to put that into perspective. Again, put yourself in the shoes of your employee. What are they looking for? Another thing I'll mention that I did not put in the presentation, and I'd love to hear some feedback on this, because this is very controversial. Compliance. When we talk about background checks, drug tests, education verification, couple things we think of, right? It slows down the speed to hire, so you could be losing candidates in the process. Two, we know that medical marijuana and marijuana in general has become widely used and available and legal in a lot of our states. But if we are in a high risk environment, how do we get by, right? So I'm curious, and again, throw it in the chat if you're bold and brave enough. Have you shown concessions in your compliance? What has that looked like? Have you seen an ROI on that and a positive outcome of attracting talent? Or is that not a problem for you? So I'm just curious, because nationally we're trying to collect that data, because a lot of employers that we're talking to are actually removing marijuana from their drug test. So just as one example. And again, I think it's industry specific, based on risk and scale. That's always something to consider. But I'd love to hear more from the chat, from the participants here today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Lori, you, because you're sitting locally, and Bill, working at the bank, how are you doing it?
Well, as you know, Manpower is still a federal company, so we really do follow the federal guidelines. But if we have employers who have leniency toward that, and again, like you said, it's occupation specific. You obviously don't want heavy equipment operators, machine operators, and things like that. But administrative, clerical, people who are not doing, jobs where and they could, and most of the time medical marijuana, they're not an altered state. It's a controlled medicated state, just like a lot of other medications. Yeah. So I think that when you look at it, I agree it's job specific. Bill, I think you had a comment on that too.
Yeah, we don't do drug testing. We haven't, as far as I can ever remember. I think the question is, can the person show up and do their job where they're not in an impaired status? Mm-hmm. Whether that's marijuana or alcohol or pills or anything else. But that becomes pretty subjective, Amy.
It does. It absolutely does. And we see employers, to Lori's point, federally, it's still illegal. So Manpower follows the federal guideline. But we have partners, business partners at a state and local regional level that have said, we're going to do away with this. And it's opened up their pool of candidates. We also have great programs for retooling, not to boast on Manpower, that's not the point of today, but we do have, for example, GED programs where it's at no cost to our associate. We offer them their GED. So when we partner, it's not a stipulation that they must get their GED before converting permanent, but it's another way of opening up the talent pool for somebody who maybe didn't get their high school diploma or GED at the time that they were supposed to, because we are in such a non-traditional world. So it's just, again, that added education of how can we support the workforce and the up and coming talent, because our talent of today will be our talent tomorrow. So it's important that we're taking care of them.
Yeah, and I think it's what's really important too is we have the generational shift and generational gap. Is it can't really be overemphasized enough, because we have traditionalists in HR roles right now, but we're seeing those shifts from traditional HR viewpoints and responsibilities into more flexibility, because as our younger generation does shift into those positions, they're the same age of the people they're recruiting. So it's been a huge change, and it's been a huge movement, I think, for that. I mean, it's been really. Oh, Lady Anna did answer a question.
Yeah. She did. Lady Anna with B&W Growers has a comment that we are a formal DFWP, which I don't know what that is.
Drug-free workplace.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So we follow the federal guidelines for initial screening. for initial screens. If a positive result arises during employment, we go through the conversation. If a medical card is presented, and it depends on the job, forklift operator obviously is much different than a packer. So good. Yeah.
Great job. We love
Good
to see
feedback.
that. Love that. Thank you
Yeah.
for commenting.
Yeah.
I had on the tip of my tongue I was going to bring up. Go ahead, Lori.
Oh, I was just gonna say Norma Wardlow is another manufacturer here, and I believe they are also a drug-free workplace and require that. Norma, do you have different standards for your production workers than for your administrative workers if you're on or want to comment?
Good question.
No,
I haven't seen
might
it.
be on mute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say now, and I know we're almost at time, so stop me because I could talk about this for hours and days. What I was going to say is when we talk about this 72.1 million millennials coming up, right, we have to look at the generation coming up behind them. And I had mentioned soft skills in a lot of cases being more important than hard skills. Our younger generation is lacking. For those of you that are participating today, you're lacking. I'm just kidding. But
Nice.
I'm just kidding. But let's think about it, right? Think about the way that this younger generation has been brought up to communicate. It's right here.
We have another great question from Zachary Siva. He asks, what are some ideas for implementing a mentorship program?
Oh, great question. Great question. So let me just finish my thought quickly. If you work on soft skills, if you have partners that can push soft skills, communication, written and verbal, how to write an email, how to do correspondence, those are all things that our younger generation would thrive in, right? And then training on the hard skills is easy. Zachary, great question. Mentoring, that's huge, right? You want dedicated support when you come in. In a lot of organizations, we hire somebody, if we're talking about entry level at higher price tags, we're expecting them to come in and deliver fairly quickly. Production doesn't stop. We need to meet rates. How do we get them scaled up? You may have a robust training program, or you may not have any training at all. Partner them with a peer. Peer-to-peer partnership and mentorship is a great way to have a new, to have a coaching buddy for somebody that can develop trust and rapport. And then that direct supervisor or manager can go back to that mentor or peer and say, where do we need to continue to develop? So now you have two levels of communication. You have your direct report, you have your coach or your peer mentor buddy. And it's just a great way to build that collaboration. If you are in an environment where safety is important, they're going to watch and learn, right? Safety is so important. So when you have entry-level individuals coming in that don't understand manufacturing best practices and what EHS is, right? That's going to be really, really helpful as well. Great question. Mentorship and buddy programs are very, very big right now. And then allow them, the newly hired worker, a path to become a mentor or a buddy in the future. Those are the advancement, right? And matching my mission as a job seeker to your organization. Maybe I really do like to train people. What does that look like? How can I get there? So all great questions.
Lady Anna Collins also commented that they switched to paid time off instead of a specific bank of hours. It makes it much easier on the administrative side as well. That's a really good point. There's probably a cost savings to that, because you're not having to monitor that as much when you just give a bank instead of going, oh, well, they've used their 5 days of sick leave. Now they have one left. And I think that becomes even more important when you're talking about municipalities and how they structure their time off. We heard recently about some Vero Beach employees who retired with something like 200 hours of sick leave that they never used. And so, I think that that's going to be something that's going to be more in the future when you're talking about a pension program.
A lot of companies are doing that. Our organization is actually looking into doing that fairly soon, probably next year even, just across the board, PTO.
You know what else I've heard, and this is something Manpower is considering nationally, is day pay. So for those of you that have used a local workforce provider that may bring you talent for the day for small temporary assignments and whatnot, we're looking into day pay. It's going to logistically, I'm sure we have a lot to work out. But again, when you think about the millennial and the generation that we need to hire that's coming up to be employed, They are wanting that money quickly. They're wanting to turn it around and invest it. They're wanting to make smarter decisions because they're more informed, because knowledge is power. So day pay is something that organizations are trying to work into. And again, long game, as Bill mentioned earlier, it's the long game, but something to consider. So all types of ways to get creative.
Yeah, we have an employer, I think, here who would switch from biweekly pay to weekly pay, and it's helped them with tracking candidates.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love it.
It's interesting because it kind of goes against my belief of good financial planning. But hey, look, I'm a baby boomer generation, and we were raised totally different than my kids, the millennials.
You know what though, Bill? That's a great point, because I think I'm a Gen X. I don't know what I am. I'm right on the cusp of that millennial, and I'm much like you. I dump thousands of dollars a month in retirement. But you look at the younger generation, they're on apps on their phone, putting it in the stock market. So they're wanting to have that pay right away to do day trading. And they're making tons of money doing it. I know it makes it, I know, gives me anxiety, Bill, gives me anxiety.
GameStop.
Yes, but these are all things we need to consider. Again, thinking like a future job seeker. How can I attract the best talent? What can I do to become an employer of choice?
Right.
So
and look at the impact that those day traders did have on the market and what they did.
Right.
Yes.
Big
Yes,
time.
I had my 18-year-old running upstairs. Mom, I need $50. Not my money, kid. Yep. So yeah, if you think about it, and so a lot of things we can do. And really, I think what's most important is that the chamber is here to support you. You guys have this network of individuals where you can collaborate and meet ongoing. You have employment partners like Lori and others on the call that Helene's going to share at the end here that you can lean on, right? Have these proactive discussions to get better and better and better. So again, we can come out of this winning in the back end.
In fact, I'm going to go ahead and show them right now. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the local resources.
Yes. And Lori, you guys, you're a lot of, I think probably all of these guys are involved in the local or the regional HR association as well, right?
Yes, we all are a part of the local SHRM affiliated HR association, and great. You know, we're a small community, so we always say we're friendly competitors, and we truly are. And we value each other as resources too. I mean, I've called Sue and Donna, you know, and asked them questions. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And very quickly, I did want to congratulate Bill Penny on being named as the chair-elect of the Florida Banking Association. I just saw that come across LinkedIn, so congratulations.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. That's probably a good segue to wrap up. So thank you very much, Amy. It was very interesting. I made a lot of notes, and Lori, thank you. And Helene, thank you for coordinating this, and everybody that commented and asked questions. And Lady on, I'll see you at stretching next week, I guess. We have our little thing going here. We don't need to talk about it. You know? So unless there's anything else, thank you all very much. And have a great rest of the week.
And y'all don't forget, next Wednesday, we have part 2, 11 o'clock, same bad time, 11 o'clock. And this will be more of a Florida focus. We'll have reps from Career Source Florida, as well as Career Source Research Coast, talking about programs for Florida employers and maybe some places you can tap into that you hadn't thought of to find the right candidate. So yeah, that should be very interesting as well. Amy, this is superb. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have one more question. Norma did ask if we can get a copy of the slides. I think that's not a problem for us to share, correct, Amy?
Correct. I did. Yes, absolutely. You can send that deck app. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. And thank you for that reminder. This recording is actually going to get uploaded to the Economic Development website, which is IndianRiverED.com, along with a copy of Amy's slide deck. So I hope to do that this afternoon. So
thank you all for having me. Lori, thank you for coordinating with Helene. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you
so much, Amy. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.